Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, if my brother keeps on sinning against me, how many times do I have to forgive him? 7 times?" "No, not 7 times," answered Jesus, "but 70 times 7, because the kingdom of heaven is like this. Once there was a king who decided to check his servants' accounts. He had just begun to do so when one of them was brought in who owed him millions of pounds. The servant did not have enough to pay his debt, so the king ordered him to be sold as a slave, with his wife and his children and all that he had, in order to pay the debt. The servant fell on his knees before the king. "Be patient with me," he begged, "and I will pay you everything." The king felt sorry for him, so he forgave him the debt and let him go. Then the man went out and met one of his fellow servants, who owed him a few pounds. He grabbed him and started choking him. "Pay back what you owe me," he said. His fellow servant fell down and begged him, "Be patient with me, and I will pay you back." But he refused. Instead, he had him thrown into jail until he should pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were very upset and went to the king and told him everything. So he called the servant in. "You worthless slave," he said, "I forgave you the whole amount you owed me, just because you asked me to. You should have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had mercy on you." The king was very angry, and he sent the servant to jail to be punished until he should pay back the whole amount. And Jesus concluded, "That is how my Father in heaven will treat every one of you, unless you forgive your brother from your heart." I look at this story and I can't help but think, what went wrong? We see this guy in the beginning who's in this crazy amount of debt, but he gets forgiven. He gets forgiven. All of that debt is wiped clean, but yet he still ends up finding his way to jail. And I look at the story and I think, this guy had a problem. Something went wrong, and I think that the thing that went wrong first is I think that this servant, he had an issue. He had an issue with trust. You see, the king had said to him, "I will pay. I know you cannot pay. I know it's impossible for you to give me back everything that you owe me. And so, because debt just can't go away by itself, I will pay off your debt for you. You owe me nothing." The problem is, when that servant left, I don't think he trusted that the king actually meant what he had said. So you got to understand, that was a crazy amount of money. And so I'm pretty sure that servant was thinking, yeah, the king, he says that I don't owe him anything. He says that I don't have to pay him back. He says that I've been forgiven. But does he really mean it? When he starts to realize just how much trouble I'm in, when he starts to realize how bad things really are, when he starts to understand how big this debt really is, he's going to come knocking on my door. So I better do everything I can to be ready to pay him back when he comes calling. So I think that's why he went out and he sought out that other servant. He was trying to get his money. Why? So that he could pay the king back a debt that he no longer owed. He did not trust that the king actually meant what he said, and that his debt was fully forgiven. Not only did he not trust, but he also did not understand. He had not been given more time. He had not been given more time to try to put things right. He had been forgiven. He owed nothing. And this is not because he got down on his knees and pleaded for patience to give him more time to pay things back. It's not because of anything that he had done. No, it was because of the mercy of a merciful king. The other servant had done the same thing to him. He'd gotten down on his knees, he'd pleaded as well, and it got him nowhere. See, the difference here had to do with the person who held the control. And in his case, that was the king. His pleading amounted to nothing unless the king had compassion on him. You see, he did not trust. He did not understand. And because of that, he did not respond in the correct way. What he should have been doing is he should have been enjoying himself. He should have been having a party. He owed this crazy amount of debt, and it was all gone. He should have been celebrating, and in his celebrating, he should have been extending mercy and kindness towards other people because he had been shown mercy and kindness. That was the natural thing to do. And that is why the other servants got so angry, because he did not do the natural thing. The natural thing for him to do after being forgiven so much would have been for him to forgive so little. But instead, he was still trying to pay off a debt that he did not need to pay. There was no turn. There was no change. We started this story, a man heading towards imprisonment. And he ended up the story as a man in prison. The forgiveness that he had been given, the chance to have a new life, had been missed. And this is the challenge that we have today. You see, all of us, we have a debt to pay. The Bible calls us that sin. And says that the times when we do things that are wrong, we have to pay for that. It says that there are times when we have the opportunity to do something right and we don't do it. We have to pay for those mistakes as well. And the debt that we carry for the things that we have done wrong in our lives is so heavy and so weighty that we can never pay off that debt. And like this man, we are headed towards a prison where there is no hope. The Bible calls this hell. Now, this is not what the desire of the king is. See, the king of this story is very similar to our King, our Heavenly Father. And he sees our situation. He knows there's nothing that we can do about it. And because of that, instead of making us pay, he paid for our sin himself. That's what Jesus did on the cross. He paid my debt. He paid your debt. But here's the thing. Jesus may have paid our debt, but we need to trust Him. If He says that we are forgiven, it means that we are forgiven. If He says that He has made us clean, it means that He has made us clean. We have to understand. It is not our pleading. It is not our promise to do better or our striving to do good things to balance out the bad things we have done. These are not the things that set us free. This is not the way that God's forgiveness works. We can plead all we like, but unless we are in the hands of a merciful King, it will do us nothing. You see, we need to understand that when Jesus says we are forgiven, it is not because of anything that we have done, but because of His mercy. We need to trust, we need to understand, and we need to respond. We respond to God's gift by receiving it. We respond to God's gift by showing the love that we have been shown to other people, by showing the forgiveness that we have been shown to other people. This shows that we understand what we have truly been forgiven of. And when we trust, when we understand, and we respond to this gift that God has given us, then we will have new life. Thank you.